Okay. Let me put my mic over here. I'm just getting the link on the Twitter sent out, and then get into chit chatting for this stream. I meant to stream earlier this week, but I was too tired, and I was like, I'll just save it for the weekend. I'll just have that 1 week skip or something. But now, oh, I had something in my throat right there. But now we can get to chit chatting about all the stuff going on this week. I know I couldn't skip this week because all the Selene stuff I thought was just really, really cool, and I'm really hyped to see exactly just like her whole display in this arc. I think it's going to be super, super fun just to see all the crazy moves that she can probably perform. If like her starting thing is like hopping between dimensions. All right, let me read some of the comments that we got so far. What's up, Jared Punch? Oh wait, let me see. Is my mic muted? Okay, no. It's the music that's muted. I thought I messed up one going into this. Let me see this really quick. What if I keep switching from what my settings are for my where the sound comes out of? Where is this? Is it this one, I think? Let me see. There we go. And that means I usually turn the sound on for like a minute or so before I get to the actual stream, so it's like kind of like a warming in music, but I guess it didn't have it set right this time, so I guess just sitting in silence. But now it should be good. Let me read some more of these. Liz Jr., how's it going? Robin McLennan, what's up? Big Skull. Lise R., how are you today? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, cool. You guys can hear me now. Because you were posting that at the point where I didn't have my mic on. But it should be, I would assume, good now. Yang is... He's been kind of an asshole lately towards her sister. She's not wrong. She doesn't have to say either. Are you talking about in Ruby? Did the new season start? I haven't watched any of the new stuff. I've just kind of like... My interest in the series has died off so much. I guess I'll have to get caught up if there's stuff out already. They've just been like writing that series into such an uncomfortable spot. It's really unfun. For most characters, some of them are still really enjoyable. I really liked Penny in the last volume. Ironwood I thought was cool, and Winter, it's somewhat of Weiss, but like for the most part I'm not a huge fan of the primary cast. I think John, I like John, I thought Ren was good, but for a majority of them it just kind of really bugged me. Like almost the entire main cast except for Weiss has been bothering me for like 2 volumes. I didn't miss. Okay, that's good, Zephyr Chan. How's it going? Asta and Lima are gonna have to learn together truly to fight. Yeah, because they're gonna have like combo stuff. As I said, the level that they've that Asta for the most part has displayed so far, it's just like run off anti-magic. He has to get like full anti-magic now. He's just been using the just radiated energy that's streamed off it. He has to get the full concentrated, hit delete. It doesn't probably need to have as much kind of like energy flow. It's probably gonna. I think the black swords be like the idea behind them is it's like way more concentrated, so it's gonna be massively more potent. I don't know what he could really do with the anti-magic beyond when the swords just turn pitch black and having that black glare, unless there's gonna be kind of like how the anime, it had the general like normal anti-magic, but there was that kind of point where the devil, like anytime Libe's stuff would go on, or back when it was just anti-magic devil, it was that like black and then like magenta and silver metallic color. Unless there was something like that where like there was like a visual change in the energy, like there was like some upgraded version that had some indication like, oh, this is just a straight all-out better variant of anti-magic. I don't know what they could do in that regard, but honestly, I guess we don't know entirely what Tabata's plans. He could do something like that, and it's just, the pitched black is for this lower level, and then, some form of special higher end grade with, higher detailing into it or something will kind of drop. I'm just reading Fairy Tail Rising King spinoff. I've read some of it. I'm not a huge fan. What's up, Street? How's it going? How are you today? Very excited for 2021 and COVID expires next year. Yeah, probably. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to just not thinking about all this again. One of the things that I think is the most annoying is like at work, if I'm doing something, have the radio turned on, there's like every few minutes there's like a commercial about COVID. I'm just like, can we at least talk about it less? It just bothers me. It's like it becomes like 30. It's literally like 30% of what people talk about now. I'd rather go back to, like, when they just talk about, like, shows and shit. I hate wearing the mask, dude. It sucks. I feel like most people think that, though. What's up? How's it going, JK Network? Nozel gives some tips to Asta, seeing how his katana works. I'm really curious to know what his sword is going to do. Like, what will its different kind of power be? Because it looked like it was doing kind of like almost like Yami lightless slash versions, but that's just the black slash attack that like Asta essentially already has. I'm really curious of what exactly the sword does. I'm kind of hoping it's like somehow enhances like his ki and like physical skill. Something that's just kind of like a concentration and like maybe like speed or reactions based sword. I assume it's going to have a power. I'm kind of alright if it's literally like it doesn't have a special power. It just has the general anti-magic, and Ost is, you know, honing the skills in that, where that one it's more focusing on technique rather than whatever the power of said sword is. I don't know. Either I'd like just some explanation on like what's going to be the significance of when Asta pulls out this sword in the fight, like, you know, Yami's old katana. What do you call it? The Demon Decapitator katana. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the official release names it. Because, like, the Demon Decapitator, I don't know, to me it sounds closer to the Demon Beheading Sword. I think that's what they originally called the Demon Slayer Sword. Because right now he has the Demon Slayer Sword, he's got the Demon Dweller Sword, and the Demon Destroyer Sword. And I guess this one, if he wants to go Beheading, Demon Beheading Katana. I mean, it's, again, I'm really curious to know, like, what is the special thing about this one? What makes this weapon significant? I get the more emotional reason it's significant, but obviously, like, if Asta's in a fight, there has to be a reason why he would pull out the katana rather than just kind of make it like a Yami. Oh, cool, it's Yami's old sword thing. There has to be something beneficial to it. Alright, for the next Black Clover episode. Yeah, I am actually really interested. I want to see the captains fight. It's just one of those things I think everybody's going to be really happy about and really be excited to see. Some of the lesser captains, and people just not shown. I think one of the things that people are going to be most excited to see in general is just having a display of the captains. I think just getting to see some of the captains do stuff is going to make people a lot of happy. Like, or, make a lot of people really happy, rather. I just realized I messed that sentence entirely. But, I think people will be really stoked just to see how exactly, like, their favorite captains fare, you know, against each other. But on top of that, just general display of them. I mean, like, I don't have any big things that I kind of want outside of just seeing a couple new spells from each of them. Like, I would love to see, like, you know, 1 or 2 new spells from Charlotte. I'd like to see some from William, Jack. It's like, it's a running joke that Yami has, like, so many spells, but he legitimately has way more than I think anybody else in Black Clover, except for, like, maybe Asta. I do think that we need to see some from other captains. Jax is kind of weird, because Jax is kind of like Marileona, where it has, like, a certain a trait to, like, their magic. Like, he's got his adapting magic blade, and Marileona can burn magic, but how they implement them, it's mostly, like, they just have, like, fast combo attacks. No, they don't have, like, that many, like, big different spells. So I'd like to see something from Jack, like, maybe just, like, a wide range, like a cleave, or maybe he does, like, a different type of blade, or maybe it's not just, like, the one shape, maybe it's got a different one, and it has a different effect. Like, maybe he has the standard one, and it just straight slashes, and then he has one that's kind of like a claw, and it does, you know, multiple hits or something. I'm kind of just thinking of, like, does something kind of like, what is his name from Bleach? Yumi Chika, his fake Shikai, where it kind of, it's like that triple, is it 3 or 4 pronged sickle, you know what I'm talking about? Something like that, and it just, you know, it'll just do multiple slashes. So just, like, upgrades to his blade pattern, I think would be really cool. Because he's already broken. The way that he is, though, is that he's always, like, an adaptive... He's such an adaptive fighter that he's almost always going to be relevant in a fight, even if against somebody who's got generally, like, really high-level defense and stuff. I think what Tabata needs to do in regards to Jax, like, big pushes with his spells, is something like that, where it's more about just enhancing the display and enhancing like how he can overwhelm his opponents. Like it's one thing I'm really upset with Kimetsu no Yaiba when it comes to the ending, because I wasn't a big fan of Muzan, but I really liked Kokoshibo. I thought he was really cool, and fighting him, to me, like, when you have to kind of compare the characters, like, people at their level and who the, you know, where he was in terms of strength, when they were fighting him, I think the scariest thing would be is the footing, like, the way that his crescent blades were. It'd probably be a nightmare trying just to keep up with his moves and the way that his slashes were going. And I think that's what Jack kind of needs, where it's not like, oh, like, there's nothing kind of crazy and new with the content of the slashes. Like, his slashes are always going to be that way that they adapt to, you know, their opponent's magic and stuff. But I think just different ways it's implemented would be a really cool way to upgrade Jack. And it's a lot of stuff for the characters in general. For any of the captains, I think a lot of what Tabata just needs to do for... Definitely not Yami. As much as Yami's a badass, I'm hoping he gets a couple really cool scenes, but doesn't focus, like, entirely on him, because I really want to see other captains. We get Yami, obviously, a lot, and I do like Yami. I want to see some cool Yami stuff, but I really want to see just a couple new spells, rather, from each of the captains, and ways that, if we could get, like, a scene in their head where they're all thinking about, like, oh, this is how I gotta progress, this is what I want to work on, because we really gotta see new stuff from them going to this arc, because we just had, you know, the Elf Resurrection stuff all go on. And I definitely Marileona. Marileona definitely went out to go train. But how, like, crazy a lot of the big elves were compared to them, I feel like they've got to have it in their head they need to get stronger. And then, you know, Spade coming up, they're going to need to keep getting stronger so they can take down the Spade. So I really want to see more from each of the captains now before we get into portions of the Spade where we see maybe some good displays of them, new spells and stuff, because new spells, like, in general, like, they're going to be, like, after a training thing. It's going to be like, cool, we get to see your new upgraded stuff, but we haven't seen a whole lot of your arsenal already, so I guess it's just pretty much all new stuff. It's not like we had Yami, and Yami really didn't have anything that new for a while, and then he got Death Thrust. For the most part, a lot of the captains, we don't have a whole lot of spells from them. We have a handful, but it's not like Yami where we could have, you know, just a ton of different things. And we don't need to have, like, mega complicated spells from each of them. We could just have general, like, you know, variations of stuff they already have. Like, we could just have Fuego Leon, and then, like, he just does, like, this really cool wide range salamander breath. Or Nozel does, like, some really cool blade whirlwind or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Just super easy, light stuff that's just like, cool, plus a spell. Now you have more than 3. I guess, like, the only other one that's like Rill, because Rill's varies so much, because his is based off paintings and not just outright spells. Iron Nancy's channel hit 3K. Yeah, I saw that. That's good. I'm glad, you know, it's always nice to see people progress. Is Ruby Volume starting today? I think so. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm kind of indifferent on Ruby right now. I've been considering, like, do I want to do reviews on another season? I wanted to do better, but it's kind of like when I got tired of doing stuff for, like, 7 Deadly Sins for a while, because it was in such a upsetting spot that anytime I talked about it, it was all negative, and I didn't want to just talk negatively about stuff. I don't want to do reviews on anything that I'm not going to have fun doing. Like, just because there's a part I don't like, it's like, whatever. But if it's just negative, then I'm not going to have any fun doing it. And then I'm just kind of like, it just makes it seem like I'm just doing it to hate on it. I don't really want that. So, oh yeah, just speaking of that 7 Deadly Sins, the sequel got announced to come out on the, I think, January 27th. I wish we got, like, an official name for it or something. I'm genuinely really interested in it. I can't wait to see who all the characters are going to be like. You know, the 4 Horsemen and whatnot. Wasn't the name already said? Wasn't it the 4 Horsemen? It was like 4 Horsemen of Britannia or something. I have to look that up because I think the name was given. I don't remember entirely off the top of my head. I really hope Mishima is it setting up Nacht to defeat Selene. I don't think it'll be. For one, it wouldn't be Nacht alone.
if Natsu was involved in it. It would definitely be a group fight. Natsu was able to beat Alderaan because of all the people fighting the God Seeds, and then each God Seed down meant a weakened God Seed Alderaan, so Natsu was able to defeat that, weakened version of him. Whereas with Selene, I doubt that's going to be her thing, and when we see more of her, I think it's not going to connect to Natsu. The people that it's most likely going to connect to is either Urza, Jalal somehow, or Lucy. Connecting to Natsu I don't think would really work, because we already have a Dragon God connected to Natsu. I don't really know why we would have Natsu just focus on her. And I think she's got to have connections to, I think she's going to have connections to Urza. Because Mercephobia, he's Reformed Dragon. He didn't want to have any conflict. He was trying to be a better person. And I doubt he would know as much about people like Irene and then by, Urza. But Alderaan was kind of a maybe, but he never got the mind reading kind of thing done on her. So, him not acknowledging her made sense. Selene seems very smart, and she apparently can hear and listen through dimensions and stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if when she and Urza finally kind of have like a moment, like swapping dialogue, that she would know something about Irene and comment on Irene. And it wouldn't surprise me also if Irene knew Selene. Like, Irene was also like really smart and very tactical, and she had a wide range knowledge of magic. So if at some point her and Selene knew each other, I think it would really fit. And it would be really badass to have like them knowing each other during the during the Dragon King Festival, the original one, the big war 400 plus years back. And it was like, compare the two of them, and you could really kind of see like their levels. What were they like before, and then what we get to see, because Selene had the 400 years, I think, to get stronger. That's the same as like Ignia and stuff. But Irene didn't spend much time getting stronger. Irene was just trying like kind of seclude herself out alone and deal with her insanity. So I'm curious if she would comment on Selene's strength, because it makes me wonder, like, if on Irene, it makes me wonder if Irene never had, like, that mental breakdown about becoming a dragon. Like, if she just spent the 400 years getting stronger, would she have gotten up to Dragon God level? I've always wondered that about her, just because, like, Irene was always really big hype, and the amount of time she had to, like, kind of work with, seeing as she didn't seem to really age. Whereas August had general, like, he came from a very odd irregularity, like, birth between Zareth and Navis. So him having absurd, like untold magic made sense, like this ungodly level for, just a person to have over, like, a dragon of royalty was like, okay, sure, because he's completely, like, an irregularity of a wizard. And Irene, though, I feel like if Irene had the 400 years of just training and not, her misery, she could have gotten up to that level with, like, Selene. But that's a maybe. That's obviously not confirmed. Maybe Selene was always just, like, smarter and better. Who knows? So Witch and Wizard from Eden Zero both manipulate elements. Do you think they'll have a poison as well? I assume so. I'm assuming that their elements aren't just like the 4. I assume it's like the 8 elements from Ravemaster, which, just speaking about, I've always wondered that about God Serena, because he has the 8 elements, and it would have been so cool if we got to see all 8 Lacrima of God Serena. It was always weird, because there's the 4 he displays, and then there's a part where you see his hand has lightning, so you can assume he has lightning, but I've never understood when you have, like, a character with so many abilities, like, that's already numbered. It's like, Hunter x Hunter, what's that guy's name? Kite? He had, I'll read that one second, I don't want to lose my train of thought. Kite had the lucky, I don't remember what his power was, but he had, like, a random generator ability, and it's like, okay, you would get a random form of this weapon. Was it Crazy Slots, I think? But he would get... I'll read that one second. But it would become completely random. And I don't remember the exact number one, if it was 10 or 12 or what. But it's always weird to me when you have authors have specific numbers. I guess also in Fairy Tail you can compare it to the Wizard Saints. Like, there's 10 Wizard Saints, but we haven't even seen close to that. Because even the ones we've seen all fitting together in the timeline would be kind of difficult to have. Because, like, even the 10 that became part of the council, we wouldn't know who even sits inside of that 10. Because outside of Jura, you can kind of count half. You can count the four gods of Ishval and Jura at one point in time before, God Serena went to Elakatasia and went to Zareth. But that's still only 5. And it's supposed to be 10, because you can't count Jalal, can't count Jose, because they're gone. You can maybe count Makarov, but I don't think there's ever a scene where Makarov is redesignated as title of Wizard Saint, because he was gone. So unless they just didn't have somebody fill in the spot for 7 years, then I don't really know what was going on there. But it's always been weird to me when you have, like, a number that's set, but you don't go with it. Like, 8 elements. How hard would it have been to draw literally 3 panels, doesn't even have to be 3 pages, of God Serena saying, like, oh, something dragons, some roar, something dragons, general attack. It was always weird to me the fact that didn't kind of just go down really quickly, and he's sitting in, like, this, unless we get a flashback, it will never get shown Limbo. Let me scroll down. I'm going to get to that comment, Kenmato. Asta with a katana gives more speed to this power. Yeah, but it's got to have some form of general ability, not just the difference of, like, the weight of the blade itself. Selene could tie it into Irene. I think that she should. I think she did. Call the katana the Demon Executioner Sword. I wanted it to be called, like, the Demon Inheritance Sword, because it's a sword that Asta is taking in, overtaking from Yami. Also anti-magic properties. Yeah, but I assume it would have to have an ability. Unless the other ones only have an ability because they had something beforehand. Like when we saw Licht using the Demon Dweller Sword, obviously it had a power even without the anti-magic in it. If his katana is literally just an anti-magic katana, I'm fine with that. But I would like that to be stated. Have you heard the Dragon Slayer rap cipher? I have not. Zama, Dragon Decapitator Sword, Adama, Demon Slayer Sword. Kind of rhyme. I don't know if I know that one. Yeah, swords could be faster since he's using katana. The way he's using Asuka katana is a combination of Patriot's Whip. Knows those attacks. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if it doesn't have, like, an additional kind of, like, perk to the sword itself, I'm hoping that just gets mentioned. Like, if they said, oh, it has anti-magic properties, but it didn't have powers beforehand, so it doesn't have power, like, a specific power now, then I'll say okay. Leave AX Bell. Anyone? That'd be a really weird ship, to be perfectly honest. Bell's heart will forever be with Prince Yuno. I mean, Yuno's probably going to end up with Charmy. At this rate, at least. But it's because that's the only, like, logical ship that he has around him. When Shiki gets a new gravity ability, I want her to be... Wormhole! I'm hoping for Wormhole. I really want to see Shiki get a Wormhole power. Or, if we could get him to actually make meteors. Like, Shiki has the full capability of picking up some rubble and carrying it, like, into the clouds and dropping it on people, so that terminal velocity just kicks up, or, like, right to the deep into the atmosphere or something. So do you think that Jujutsu Kaisen Shibuya Instant is going to end in the next 20 chapters? It has to end in the next 20 chapters. There's only, like, 2 opponents left. You have Mahito, and then you have the ghetto brain invader guy. Other than that, there's not really much they could do. If they stretch that at 20 chapters, that'd be crazy. Have you read? I've already read the comment. Dobby's totally confirmed. Yeah, I saw that. Tabata's endgame will be uniting the kingdoms. I'm hoping so too. You think Poseidon Arrow could possibly be the type of character who's not evil? I think his will be kind of like the King of Aeolus, like Faust, where it's bad from other people's perspective, but what he's doing is beneficial and good if you were on their side. I like that kind of slightly gray area that Aeolus had, because even if what they were doing was wrong for a good amount of reasons, it was something that they were doing out of desperation for the good of their whole world at the sacrifice of, small bundles of magic from Earthland. Because when you think about it, the amount of magic that it took from Earthland to supply, like, their entire kingdom would be insignificant in the grand total of what Earthland has, as well as, like, by the time they would probably run out and collect more, like, they probably would have already adjusted. Like, they probably would have had, like, more magic and more, wizards take up that position in time. Just, like, kind of like the natural order, like, healing itself of just, like, the world. And they'd probably be, like, another guild. From their perspective, they probably just looked at it as, like, oh, it's just one town for a whole world kind of thing. I wonder, did Bottas forget about Morris? I'm hoping not. I really want to see Morris. I think he's really interesting. I think a lot of people have really wondered what exactly his character is going to be like. Because if Morris was literally just, a bad guy in the Spade Kingdom, I don't think anyone would care. I think the fact that he has, the fact he created a Stitchwork grimoire, like what Mars and Fauna have, is super interesting, and we need to see the origins of it. I'm going to scroll down and read Kimana's super chat. I don't know how much further there it is. Happy late birthday. Hope it's a good one. Hopefully you got yourself something nice. I'm also working on sketches of characters. I'm terrible right now. If you want, so if you have characters you like to see sketch, let me know. If you want to show me stuff, go on ahead. I wish I could draw. I'm not really good at drawing, but I'm working on a story thing right now. I don't know if I'll ever put it out. Like, I had to either learn to draw, which probably won't happen, or find somebody to do the work. I'd have to pay somebody. That would be way later down the line. But right now I'm just working on stuff, and I have fun thinking about, like, characters and whatnot. Alright, right, Ignia's not just brother-in-law. I was thinking about this earlier, because there's the character position that I like about My Hero. Like, I'm not a huge My Hero fan. I'm not even really that big of a My Hero fan. I'm kind of like a casual My Hero reader. But I've always liked what Horikoshi does with Deku and Shigaraki, where he has, like, this villain rival, an arch nemesis, kind of Batman and the Joker and kind of thing. We've had positions for that could have went off. Like, we had Cobra, then we had Zenkro and Jackal, and Zenkro and Jackal obviously died, but I was like, man, I wish Mishima would stick to that kind of archetype, villain rival kind of thing. And then I realized that we kind of have that with Ignia. That's essentially what Ignia is. So I'm really stoked to see it actually, like, being in a big thing and how it's going to get played out. Because I'm genuinely really curious about Ignia. And I want to see exactly, like, what he can do over the large scale. And I'm hoping before we get to, like, his actual arc, we just get to see him go out and fight. Like, imagine if we saw some village that was, like, or some city that's like, oh, they're gonna get, they've banded together to attack Ignia. And you have a bunch of, for one, you could do, like, a really nice just raw display and have a bunch of people summon some of the Yakuma, like the 18 war gods of Yakuma. There's 18 of them, and we've only seen Yagdorigora and Ikusa Tsunagi. So you could have somebody just summon, like, 5 or 6, and then have them just do, like, a bunch of cool, like, power level flexes, or, like, have crazy spells. And then Ignia just dominate them, and, let's, like, destroy the whole area. Something like that. We just get, like, a couple pages of him flexing on people. I would love that. I really am interested in Ignia's just general kind of type in the series. Like, his general, like, big, crazy, powerful monster man. I like that he's kind of the opposing rival out of this right now to Natsu. So, I'm pretty hyped. I can't wait to see exactly how his arc goes. My belief, and this is just something that I've thought about, I can't say for sure certain. I'm hoping that when we get to his territory, that we see like his people have, like, a coliseum, and maybe we get, like, a mini tournament arc, and we can see some of the characters fight. I think that'd be really cool, and maybe include Diablos, and then you could have, like, members of Diablos in this, and see how exactly, like, what do the stakes be, who's gonna fight who. I think that'd be really cool. I would love just to have a straightforward, like, not like a long, like, I don't need, like, the entirety of the arc to be a tournament arc, but I think, like, maybe a couple, like, months. I'm thinking of the year. Maybe, like, half of it being, like, a tournament arc. I think that'd be really cool. Maybe have, like, Natsu fight members of Diablos, like some of the Black Dragon Slayer Knight Cavalry. some of those dudes. Because I'm guessing it'll be really weird if Diablos doesn't participate in this arc. And I would assume that Suzaku would, probably have his time in this arc, and probably the other dragon, or the other Black Dragon Slayer Knights will be in the next arc. Whereas I assume that the main trio of them will live. I assume that we're going to keep having Madmol, Kyria, and Scolion around. I actually really like Scolion's character. I think his design, his personality, just the way that his magic is displayed and used, I think is really cool. And I really look forward to seeing more of what he can do. Especially, I want to see his Dragon Force. His Dragon Force, I think, is going to be the coolest one. He's going to be like this badass big skeletal dragon. It's going to be amazing. I think this is going to be the most hype. So, I'm definitely I really want to see where he goes in that fight. And then, who exactly is going to fight him? Because I don't think it's going to be Natsu. It could be. I think the Gray match will. I think the Gray rematch will make more sense. Gray has a track record of going on his way rather to get rematches against people he's lost to. Because he's always we've had that before. We had that with Leon. We had that with Rufus. Gray always wants to try and settle that score. He doesn't want to sit in the lost corner for too long. Let's see. Sorax, which arc did you enjoy more between Barrel Goer, Eden Zero, and Tower of Din from Raymaster? Again, it's really unfair to compare some of it's hard to compare those arcs because that is definitely one of the better ones in Ravemaster. So I'm gonna give it to Ravemaster over Eden Zero because I like the Eden Zero arc. I thought it was really good. I think this arc will be better, but the Tower of Din arc, that was a really good arc, and that, in my opinion, is the first big arc of Ravemaster because up until that point, I would view the series as it's like a hero's journey, but that portion of the story up until the tower, it's like Haru getting in over his head. Just the obstacles that he's presented with are too much for him, and it's from that point on that he stops being a boy on a journey and becomes a man on his journey. I think that just has a really big step from the series itself. Whereas I think for Eden Zero, I think that step is very heavily happening from Ziggy coming back. And we're seeing that instead of the end of an arc for Haru, I think it's more of going to be spread out in chunks through the opening of this arc for Shiki. I'm the only one when it turned to Night Selene transformation thought about Grand Chariot. Imagine that. I was more thinking about how the cool Japanese clouds that it makes. I really liked that it made these distinctive old Japanese style clouds around it. I thought that was just really cool for its design. And it's a neat little feature because obviously Selene being a nine-tailed fox dragon, it's gonna have that more Japanese theme to it. And the nine-tailed foxes having illusion and trickster kind of things, I think it makes sense to have some weird visual go towards it. I can't wait just to see in general what kinds of magic she knows. I want to see what kind of crazy powers Selene has, because Mercphobia was reformed. He was trying to be better. He wasn't trying to go out and do bad stuff. Alderaan just woke up, and it was raw, big, crazy power, and then his god seeds. I think Selene is going to be just way more generally intelligent, and I think she's going to have just a larger scale of magic, because she's had, she's been in Elentier for a while now, and I'm sure that since she's been active the last 400 years and trying to actually, do nefarious things in it, she's probably got way more, abilities, techniques, and spells all honed that she has at her disposal. I think she's going to be not stronger than Alderaan, but I think she's going to have a better arsenal than Alderaan. Alderaan was one of the bigger things about Alderaan. It's good luck approaching him because he's gigantic, and his shouts have these massive shock waves that you have to be physically stronger you have to be physically strong enough to resist the level of power from one of those, and then moving into. I gotta fix this poster real quick. It's falling down. I gotta add some tape to it. It looks like this one is. losing its adhesive qualities. I don't want to say stickiness, but essentially what that is. One of them is just super loose. I gotta fix at some point. Let me see. What's up, Egan? How's it going, man? How are you today? What would Rebecca Overdrive look like? I'm hoping hers looks kind of like, what is it, Hermes? Where he has, like, the feathers on his legs, on his feet, and it's like a speedster of the gods kind of thing. It's some form of messenger. I think that'd be kind of cool for hers. I do really want her ether gear, or her overdrive to somehow alter her guns. I'm hoping she gets, like, a cool alteration to her happy guns. Maybe has, like, 2 giant cannons, or she's got almost, like, this big Mega Man or Samus blaster on one of her arms or something. I'm hoping it's not just her. I'm hoping her guns get boosted as well. I'm curious who's stronger, Shadow User, Rogue, or Nacht. Right now, Rogue. I mean, Rogue's... Actually, if you want to... I guess it's stronger, obviously, Rogue. I'm trying to think of just in general, like, shadow manipulation. Probably Nacht in terms of technique, but Rogue definitely in terms of power. That's definitely, for sure. There's that really nice super chat from old Kemano. What's up, Guillotine? How are you? You think someone from Eden Zero trying to unlock Overdrive next Forrester arc, maybe Rebecca or Kimura? I want to see Wise. I think Wise getting his would be really cool. I think in general, I think everybody wants that. I think he's got one of the best powers in Eden Zero, especially for the setting, because it's good by itself, but, being in a highly... sci-fi, tech, and robot-related series, it's just going to be even more busted. So, his is going to be really badass. Obviously, though, if I had to pick one person out of the Eden Zero crew to get it, it would probably be Jin. I would love to see Jin, and Jin's already close, so it would make the most sense. And him trying to train to get it, considering he thought he had it, but he was only close, it would make sense of why he would be working to get it more powerful and, like, might have it now. Or at least, like, a level to it. Because I still don't think Shiki's is the full version of his overdrive. I think he's just kind of, broken through the threshold. Because I doubt, like, Drac and Joe's, like, overdrive is automatically that big monstrous form. Not the out-of-control one, but the one where he first transformed, and he just kind of looks like this big... black and like silver beast or whatever colors those are, or it's more just the initial one where he's just like an enhanced monster man, not like the post machine break. Now he's just uncontrolled frothing around, dude. I don't feel like we could see more. Feel like we could see Morris after this, and high ranking doubles might go to Diamond Kingdom after this. I'm really hoping that the devil gates are all scattered. They're not in one place. So it's like they have to go explore to find them. Like maybe one is in the Diamond Kingdom, and that's where they're going to go meet up with some of the members of the Diamond Kingdom. Because I don't think it's going to be like, oh, we're going to go to this one spot and like every once in a while it's going to happen. That would be really interesting if Tabata kept up with like the impact of the battles. Like if he did one, there's like certain attacks you have like, oh, this attack shoots a giant lava blast, and it created this massive crater, and it's, like, melting all this area. And, like, that damage kept its mark throughout, like, the other fights. Like, all the other fights you could see, like, oh, here's the spot that got melted with lava in the background or something. Stuff like that, I think, would be really cool just to have its effect in the episode, or the setting of the battle. Kind of like how... I know I'm not comparing the exact same, I'm not saying they're the same, but I wanted to compare. It's like in Naruto, you had some of these scenes in the final battle would have, like, visually in this large-scale view of the terrain and stuff, you'd have, like, craters from Biju bombs dropped earlier in the fights or in the arcs. You had areas where, like, maybe some attack, like, carved out some big gash in the land. Stuff like that I think would just be neat to have. But... other than that, I'm hoping it's scattered so we get just to see a small amount of exploration. Giorno, Giovanna, and Yoriichi in Jump Force. I actually really am hyped to see Yoriichi because it's going to have her 1,000-Year Blood War moveset. So we're going to get to see her super badass, like, Mega Cat Huntress lightning thing going on. Did Langris resign or die? Langris is still in it, and there's a episode they got teased that's coming up, like when it's just kind of dropping. Oh, this is the name of the next 4 episodes. One of them is apparently about Langris, so we'll see. We'll see what he's been up to. Hopefully soon. It reminds me of Kakashi is stated to master over 100 jutsu, but we didn't see him close to 100. Well, his is only like because he copies stuff. Like his isn't the same as like Najima. Like you had Nagi Springfield do the 1,000 master. Actually, I think his was stated not to have 1,000 too. That was like an exaggeration. I think so. I can't remember. But I remember there was something like that. Unless I'm thinking of a different series. I remember some series where it was like some guys has been said to master 1,000 spells, and it's like, it's definitely not that many. I think the guy was like, yeah, it's a couple dozen. They're really good ones, but it's not 1,000. Maybe the time is a faster backslash. I mean, that's kind of boring though. If it's just like a slightly different version of the Demon Dweller Sword, and it would be less useful because the Demon Dweller Sword is one of the best ones because it can absorb magic. I picture the final fight with Shiki and Ziggy and them pulling planets together. I'm hoping it's more like the way that I would really prefer it is because I've mentioned before. I think it's more interesting of Shiki's ability to move with his power rather than just big damage. Imagine Shiki and Ziggy fighting in like a giant asteroid belt of like a ruined planet, and they're flying around through like space and they're throwing these giant asteroids at each other, but it's done more in like a space battle where they're moving in whatever direction they want out where there's zero gravity. And I still want Shiki to have wormholes. I think wormholes are cooler than him getting black holes. And the way that you can have that more in the space vibe rather than just giant power level vibes, I think would be cooler. Because I think the weapons being giant more in power level is cooler than the characters because it fits more into Eden Zero's saying where like the Ether Gears all have some like really good trick to them, but none of them have been heavy just like raw power levels, but like we've seen ships and weapons have that. I don't know, it's just my opinion. I don't want the ships to ever become irrelevant. I don't want them just to be for traveling. I think the power of their ships is important. I think it's one of the really important things about like any of these crews. Current Shiki versus Mahito. I mean, Shiki doesn't have a way to damage Mahito. I mean, he could just kind of like gravity crush him. It comes down to like overwhelming force versus like hacks, but like if he could just kind of keep crushing Mahito without him getting a chance to, reconfigure his soul, then yeah, he'd be able just to beat him just fine. Because he would have to run him out until he doesn't have any cursed energy anymore. How many chapters do you think 100 Years Quest will be? I mean, it's completely unknown. We've only got 2 Dragon Gods down. We don't know exactly what what Eleftheria is doing with this tablet. We have no idea what's going to happen with Diablos or who's the White Wizard and what's going on with Rebellious. There's a bunch of stuff in the background that we have going on top of the Dragon Gods. So, gonna be a bit until we get to the end. What kind of hacks do you think Viernes might have with his gold? Again, it's kind of weird because I don't know. There's like when we look at the other Dragon Gods, like let's look at Ignia, like massive, high temperature, super like top tier Dragon Fire. We already know Dragonfire can burn magic. There's definitely, perks that we can go into him having on top of, like, higher potency, larger AoE, general, just general temperature of fire that he can have, and then whatever Mishima can decide he has additional. With Alderaan, we could go into, like, okay, tree manipulation and whatnot, and then it was like, oh, he can create life. Merciful just large-scale water grabbing, like large-scale water condensing and control. Selene's was weird as well, because it's like, what was Moon Power is going to be? But she has, like, cross-dimensional abilities, and who knows whatever else she has, but, like, the Moon Power was already kind of questionable of, like, what is that going to really kind of end in? And we only know one trait of it, is it's, like, weird cross-dimensional travel. Viernes is super odd, because it can't just be gold like the metal, kind of like Gajil is as an Iron Dragon Slayer. There has to be a lot extra to it that makes, like, his type dangerous. Like, I'm wondering if it's gonna have some, like, weird light aspect to it. Like, is it gonna have some... I wonder what just different variables, like his dragon gold, is gonna really do. Because it can't just be, oh, it's gold. There has to be something about it. It's like, oh, he's got some broken trait. Because one thing all the dragons and dragon slayers also have is each type has some form of perk. So gold has to have something. Will there be a point when the 4 shining stars are going to turn evil? I hope not. I don't want that to happen because we already have the dark stars. Like birthday, yeah, I had a birthday earlier this week. I don't really talk about it too much. Hades from Fairy Tail versus Gojo. I mean, it depends. So Hades is one of those characters. It's kind of like Zero, because like when you get to like big crazy people like Satoru and stuff, because Satoru is obviously like pretty hacks. He's got like some really good abilities. Hades does as well, and obviously Hades, as long as his heart up, he's got like a tier of immortality and like endless magic and stamina. All you have to really do is, if you destroy his heart, then you put him in a screwed spot. But while he has his heart up, he has access to repent. If he can get repent off, then Satoru dies. I don't know if he could though. He's got like high enough giant attack spam that he might be able just to overpower him. But Satoru definitely has some pretty broken abilities, so that he could end up killing Hades if he can land certain moves. But Hades has the capability of definitely defeating him. There's this kind of a toss-up of high speed, very, very flexible power versus overwhelming large-scale abilities, way more combat experience, and then having some hacks enough to put him down. Would it be really stupid if Vierness has a King Midas ability? I mean, that's something, though, that would seem kind of casual for him if he could just turn stuff into gold. But he has to have an ability that's kind of, the perk of, what if you were a gold dragon? What would be a gold dragon add to what you kind of do? What is your perk? All dragon types and all dragon slayers have something special that ties into, their powers. They all have at least one perk. Will the 5th generation dragon slayers show up before or after the Selene arc? I'm expecting a bunch of them to show up. It'll be weird if they don't show up in this arc. I just wonder how. Max, how do you feel about Mutsumi? I don't really know what you mean by that. Natsu Dragon forces the Shiki Overdrive. Natsu dominates him. It's not even close. Shiki learns Devil Drive. I'm expecting him to get some form of like armament style of devil clothing, kind of like what Nacht has. I was reminded Scullion is also a maker made like Gray. He's got like a lot of cool shit. Like Scullion is badass. In my opinion, right now, he is my favorite out of the dragon eaters of Diablos. Like he's just got like a generally cool design. I like how he's got like this kind of cocky. He's got like a low level of cockiness to him as he fights, and while doing it, he's able just to kind of back it up. I don't think he's Maker Mage though. I don't know where he got that. He's got the Ash, but I don't remember anything that would imply like him knowing make magic. Axe Jackal versus Negato. Negato, obviously. How will Diablos get to Ellen tier? That's the current question. I feel like that, like, if there's like, there's certain places in Earthland to get to Ellen tier, like weird portals, like ancient arcways or something to get there. It wouldn't surprise me if Diablos knew, because like clearly they've done research in all this. Like going into this arc, they know who Selene is. It's not like they said Moon Dragon God is one of them, right? Let's go find out where she is. It's like, no, they clearly know about her. Rex, do you think after Shibuya Incident arc that we... wait. Let me scroll down to see this. Rex, do you think after the Shibuya Incident arc that we will get a time skip? I would assume a time skip. I assume that we'll get some form of time skip. Just wondering why I'm reading the Tower of Din arc right now is really good so far. And King's cool villain. Yeah, King's pretty badass. The question is how Diablo's going to get to Ellen tier. Yeah, I don't know yet. It's... one of the questions, like I said, we have to just wait and find out how exactly anybody else can get to Ellen tier if they don't have the Aqua Era. Happy definitely needing an upgrade. I think Overdrive, just channel Overdrive through it. Rex deserves a super chat. Do YouTube? It's hard sometimes. I've said before, I appreciate all donations. Anybody who wants to donate to me, I would very much appreciate it. Like I said, but I would never. I don't require them. It's all donations. It's all up to the people if they want to throw me a couple dollars, however much. I played it. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. How do you think Ziggy's overdrive will look like? I want it just to be kind of like a big spooky nightmare monster. I want him to be like this giant, like, evil space overlord. All I know is Wise to have a giant Voltron-looking mech by the end of the series. I think it'd be cooler if he had, like, just a super advanced, sleek-looking arsenal suit, and then maybe had, like, giant weapons kind of, like, hovering around him. Like, he just had some, like, absurdly advanced suit. Super weapon set. At least Humaru's decisions aren't as bad as Goku Moro's Zensubin. I mean, yeah, that was dumb. Do you think Ignia is going to be the last dragon god to face? I do not. I think there's going to be a secret dragon god after the 5, because the 5 dragon gods are based after the 7 luminary days. 7, obviously, I don't have to go into the explanation of the number 7 in Fairy Tail, but Natsu, I think, is going to become one of them, because the 2 missing right now are the Earth Day and the Sun Day. And Sun, obviously referring to the sun itself, and we already have a fire dragon god. We could have Natsu be the sun dragon god, which would also go into his name, Natsu, meaning summer. So, summer, clearly related to the sun. It could work out, and then at that point it'd be like, well, who's the last one? I think that we'll get some form of, like, secret boss extra dragon god, and it will have to do something with Eleftheria, because I think Eleftheria is still super suspicious. Who do you think is better development, Natsu or Luffy? Natsu. I think Natsu's is much better. I think his is way more carried on, way more kind of apparent into what's happening, and I just think his is just generally more. I think his is just generally more entertaining, way more organic. That's just my opinion, though. What do you think about Shiki using white holes as well as a super strong force field? I think wormholes are cooler. Because I think Shiki's ability to move is one of the cooler things about him. Mishima described that when they asked him why he gave him gravity powers, it was like so he could freely move around space. So, like, if there's a different... Because now we know that there are more people with the Demon King Code and more different, gravity ether users. If one of them uses, like, little black holes, okay. But I think Shiki's should be wormholes. I think his should focus on how he moves rather than just big, dangerous attack. Because it would be really cool if he had, like, he sets up a gravity comet or a meteor breaker and then drops a wormhole, and instead of, coming from one direction, he just pops up. Like, imagine if he did it from underneath someone after he just drops a wormhole portal under him and just goes freaking right through it and smacks him. Drama's reply, what happened to Langris? I think that there might be, apparently there's an episode coming up about Langris, so just whenever we get to that. What do you think Hiro could do to make Ziggy top tier villain by the end of the series? It shows influence. He's supposed to be a big deal. That, disappeared years ago, and now you have all these up-and-coming Arasion Seis Galactica members who, from their perspective, they should be worried, because here comes, like, the old big villain boss back on the rise. And I think it'll be really cool to see how the other villains interact with him. I think that'll be the way to kind of build up his villain persona and position. The idea that I see it is kind of like if you had Zareth go around and interact, like meet up with, if we had every single big villain, or at least every big Dark Guild villain, like if we had also Zero meet Zareth, and then we had like Faust. Any of the Arasion Seis Galactica, I think, should run into Ziggy at some point, and maybe even members of the Arasion Seis Interstellar, just to kind of build up his hype, and we find out just more lore about him. I think just finding out what exactly, like, makes him feared, what he's capable of, and what other people kind of, like, get towards in their, mindset whenever he either is mentioned approaching or, arrives somewhere. Jujutsu curses versus Tartarus curses. Tartarus curses dominate the living shit out of them. Tartarus curses. Tartarus demons and their curses. Like, Mark Gear would solo the living shit out of the Jujutsu Kaisen. That's not even comparable. I like to imagine Asta using 10 Sazangetsu or Kimetsu no Yaiba swords. I really just want to see, where's his new sword techniques with this take him. I've been assuming for mission. Oh, I'm like 8 or 9 chapters into that. Will Wendy learn Aqua Era? I don't think so. I don't know why she would need it. She could, though. I don't really see a reason, though, to give her Aqua Era. But someone made a really good point of, like, they could connect all that big bleeding out magic from Elantir into Edelus and give Edelus people back their magic. I think that'd be interesting. I'd wonder what, like, the plan would be from Hiramashima. Like, would he have it, like, to a way that eventually they connect all three realms so where people could freely travel between them? Because going back to Edelus, the danger is there's no magic there. So if you get stuck there, you're stuck there. So, but if they have it so there's magic there again, so you could go there and have a way to get back, then I would imagine we could see some of these other characters, like, way more often. I don't really know why we would, other than just kind of, like, you know, seeing their faces again. Because I don't really see what we would really have in the plot that'd be like, oh, Edelus might have the answer. Like, oh, we can have Edelus characters help or something. Yeah, I don't really know what it could be other than just kind of being there. Even though it's stated that Dragon Gods each rival each other, I think her Ignia is strongest. I think she has her own thing. I think that Ignia will be different than the others. I think he'll be a step above the rest. But I think for the most part, they're all just, you know, equal to each other. I don't think that she's stronger than, like, Alderaan. I think that she's more clever than he is. And probably has a larger arsenal. What do you hope to see in Elantir? I want to see, like, big magical monsters. I really want to see just, like, a couple creatures thrown in there. Like, oh, it's a Kraken. It's, a Cerberus. I just want to see, like, giant, really cool mythological magic monsters that they can kind of, like, have short scuffles with, or maybe just powerful wizards just show up and really see what these guys are capable of. Like, where are they going to compare? Where are the main cast characters going to compare to Elantir wizards? Like, are they, like, kind of, like, high up there? Are they only, like, the middle ground? I don't know. I really looking forward just to seeing the tiers that the main cast kind of sit at, like, when we start to see Elantir enemies. Do I think there would be counterparts in Elantir? I hope not. I'm not opposed to the idea. And I mentioned this in a different video. If there are versions of the main cast in Elantir and, like, other characters, I would hope it'd be done in kind of, like, such a drastic flip. Like, if you had like, some, like, that version of Natsu had, like, a water power, or he was, like, aggressively evil or something. Like, if it flipped over and he was Fee, you know, the sniper from Draken Joe's crew, or something like that. It would have to be such a drastic difference to make it, you know, not just feel like Edelus 2. What I think Elsie's Ether Gear will be, I think it'll just be some badass, really cool sword, kind of like, Homora's, but it will have some, like, really neat effect. Something, it has to have some kind of cool space effect. It's kind of hard right now because hers is, like, doesn't tell us much about, like, her style of fighting, her power and stuff. It's not like that if we have, what are those two guys that we just got? Golma and Hogan or whatever. I can't remember those guys' names. Hyoken. I think it was Hyoken and Homa. I can't remember exactly. Hyoga. The two of Elsie's, like, Fairy Knight guys. We can kind of look at them like, okay, one guy's going to have fire, one guy's going to have ice. How exactly it's done, who knows. But we don't have a whole lot about Elsie to kind of work with. Maybe we'll get a display when she goes to speak with Nero or something. Overdrive, Shiki versus Elsie. I mean, Elsie's going to win. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I already read that one. Zara versus Lucia. Zara's easy. Zara's way more broken. Who's Giorno going to be friends with and characters in Jump Force? I don't really know much about Giorno. I haven't watched anything past part 3 of JoJo or read it. I've only read up to part 3. Do you think that Eden's ever going to fight some of the Interstellar? Probably not now. I think later on in this arc we'll have, like, maybe a couple of them run into the main cast and they have to, you know, fight them off or something. Soon Diablos will enter on the field and join the party. I hope so. I like Diablos. I think they're really cool and really interesting. And every single one of the Dragon Eaters so far has had, like, a really neat type. If the Dragon Eaters show up in Elantir, besides Suzaku,
I'm hoping they bring like 1 or 2 other members of Diablos, where it's not just 4 of them. I'm fine with it if it just is, because I like the main trio of Diablos. I like Scoleon, Madbull, and Kyria. I think they're all pretty cool, especially Scoleon. So I won't complain seeing him get to fight. Like like the last time we had an actual fight with him was back when the closest thing I can really say to a fight is when he fought Gray. Because really, look at all his scuffle so far. He had the initial fight when Natsu tried to get him. You know, we found that he could turn to ash and stuff. Then he had him kind of go up against Gray, and then we had him toy with Mira Jane. And other than that, we haven't really had a big display with him. We only have like the Black Ash, and then it was like what was the other spell he had called? It was like Utter Ash, I think. Corpse Dragon's Utter Ash. Yeah, I want to see like just a couple like cool spells. And then the one thing I can always say every time there's a Slayer of any time or whatever they're based off of, especially the dragons, I want to see a roar. If there's one small complaint I will always have about Hiramishima, is when you have something like that. Like, I remember when we first had Future Rogue go into his White Shadow Dragon form. I remember the day that chapter dropped, and we have him go for a roar, and then Ultir intervenes, he goes away. We never see the roar. We still haven't seen it, because we've seen it like, okay, yeah, Sting and Rogue, either when they're working together, or like when Sting fought Larcade and got the White Shadow Dragon Force buff. He can, when he uses those moves, or when they work together, their unison raids and stuff, doing White Shadow Dragon moves. Where's the roar? I want to see the damn roar. And with Alderaan, we never saw his dragon roar. We saw just go for like a general shout, but we never saw his dragon roar. We never saw Irene's dragon roar. I just want to see some of these roars. It's such an easy attack to show, but it's such a not a unique thing. It's such a iconic thing about dragons and dragon slayers, and because by the other slayers we've seen them, they have their own versions. So like, show them. We need to have more of them. I just want actually Oregon never got like his own. He didn't get one at all. But yeah, let me scroll. I'm just gonna see some of these. Let me see. Whether you're out to say Interstellar, Cure is Machine. Yeah, that's the robot guy. I think him turning evil with Ziggy stuff would be cool. Chainsaw Devil versus Tartarus demons. I mean, he can beat him for the most part. I think the only one that would really give him a problem, I think Silver would be a problem. Kyoka with hacks, and Margear. Margear definitely, because Margear is broken as well as he is just absurdly powerful. Silver obviously counters him and has ways of both damaging and stopping him. And Kyoka, if Kyoka takes away all his senses, I don't really see how he could get up and fight, because he's shown high levels of regeneration, speed, and stuff. But he hasn't shown something like if if Kyoka wiped out his senses. Like, there's not like an extra sense that he has to kind of like keep fighting. He could go into like almost like an automatic just kill spree kind of thing, maybe. But I'd say for sure Silver and Margear could beat the Chainsaw Devil. Do you think Shiki's memory absorption abilities and Dracojo's fight impacts fights and stories? Do you think progress version it could be really... Yeah, I like his power to kind of draw up backstories. I'm curious to know what Mishima's plans are with that. In terms of, like, other encounters. Like, are we going to see it with Nero? Is that how it's going to be, like, we get flashbacks from Shiki's enemies? Is Shiki going to always, like, learn about his opponents before defeating them? I don't know. If Rogue is greater than Nacht, then does it mean Sting better than Lumiere? Like, in terms of power, I'd say yeah. Based off of, like, the level of feats and stuff that they have, like Fairy Tail's levels are way higher than Black Clover's currently. And if you wanted to compare Sting and Lumiere, again, it's kind of the same thing with Rogue and Nacht. Like, Lumiere's has... Actually, does Lumiere have even, like, a wider range of techniques? I think they both have a similar amount of spells. But Sting is definitely stronger. Like, I definitely would say that for sure. I'd be curious about, like, because, like, his is very dependent on his swords, and he's not really gonna have any. Yeah, Gold and Kyoga. I know it's, like, close to stuff with Natsu, and because I know Natsu's got attacks. What is it? God, I have to relook at them because Hyoka, I know it's part of the name, has to do with ice, and then Gyoen is close to like one of Natsu's attacks. I'd have to look at one of them. Do I think that Natsu's Ellen tier counterpart is acting of that world? Again, that'd be weird. I don't really want them to have similar counterparts. I'm hoping it's like Daedalus was like a mirrored world, and Elantir is just like a completely different world. It's got to be super different if we're gonna have this variants of these characters again. I don't want it just to be like, oh, it's a version of them, but it's slightly different. It has to be drastically different or not, or unique characters. That's my belief, at least. I think Lucifero, Megicula, and Xenon's Devil were going to live on after this arc. No, I knew. Maybe Lucifero. I don't think Megicula will. Do you think... I already read that one. Since Justice and Elsie are on Foresta, do you think that they will fight each other? I want to see them fight each other. I really want to see Justice as Ether here. I want to see it way more than Ellie's. Elsie's. Because it has to have some form of similar traits to... Sieg and Jalal's way of fighting, just that kind of, like, cool space abilities. But I wanted this to be, like, in its own unique way. Like, I'm hoping it's weapons. Like, he can conjure weapons, like guns and cannons, and then be named, like, them being named after stuff like Tartarus and Grand Chariot and stuff. Did Fairy Tail capture Nebel? No, they left him there. I'm hoping he follows them. I don't know how. I'm very curious to know what happens to his character, because I think he should join the guild. I think he should join the Fairy Tail Guild. I think Elsie is going to show up soon. I hope so. Kind of disappointed we get a roar from Wraith. Wraith's was a little different because, like, he was, like, a weird, as a ghost and, like, spirit dragon stuff. I kind of, like, view, like, the weird shadow or, like, spirit bite thing he did or just random blasts. Because his was weird because he never really had, like... something, like, spirit dragon something or other. He had, like, a couple attacks, but it seemed more like he was narrating stuff and kind of summoning the spirits rather than actually, like, using the magic. I don't know, his was weird. I always thought his was very strange in comparison to, like, any other Dragon Slayers. I would have loved to see it, though. Alderaan's was obviously, though, the biggest to me of, like, why couldn't he just show the roar? I don't know. He's at the shout, though. Ruby opening, everyone dies. I don't know about that. Maybe in the opening. I don't know how people are going to actually go in this season. Are they going to actually kill anybody? Everyone... Well, I mean, that just looked like a big explosion. I want to see, like, a roar. I want a roar. Fairy Tail... favorite Fairy Tail opening? 16. 16 is my favorite, I'd say, over... 16 or 21. 26 has my favorite visual scene when Zeref was looking at Mavis. I thought that part was awesome. Gray fought Bloodman, Mac and Alvarez. How do you think it would go for him? Oh, he would win. He's got a direct counter. Like, he has... Like, Bloodman had the ability to use some of Ice Devil Slayer magic, but he's not going to outclass Gray. Gray would have beaten him. Alright, we see more Primal Fear Devils and Chainsaw Man. Yeah, so if Denji is going into Hell, like this last arc in the series takes place in Hell, I assume we would see a couple. Do you think there's a form of enchanted fire or his ability to enhance the fire? Wait, I don't know what you meant by that. Kawaki's finally coming to board, so anime next couple episodes. That's good. I heard it's been taking damn forever. Strongest Tartarus Demon Sukuni can beat. Probably just like everyone up to silver. I don't think he could take silver. Still wish that some kind of dragon psych could turn into dragon back in human. So wait, what? Some of the dragons. I mean, we have Elasaria, Acnologia. It's not a very common thing. And 5th generation dragon slaying, from what we've seen, their dragon force is too fast, uncontrollable. Once you go into it, it's like you're stuck. What if Natsu and the other dragon slayers actually did have dragon forms? I assume they will eventually. I assume it'll be like their endgame when they reach their peak. Like, once we get to, like... Because Hiro Mishima said he might do a next generation thing. If there was a next generation chapter, and there was, like, one of those times where it's like... You get to see Natsu flex after a while. It's been years. You know, he's an adult and stuff. I would love to see, like, him just turn into a dragon. Kind of like when Naruto stepped out and actually had to flex in Boruto and, beat the bad guys that was, way too high level for Boruto and stuff. it was like all these younger characters are really seeing the results of such a long journey and like where these characters at. I would love to have that with Natsu. Just big flex moment, and all the other characters get to be like, holy shit, this guy's absurdly powerful. What if Natsu and other Dragon Slayers actually... Wait, I already read that one. That would be cool. What if Fairy Tail Elentier is like a good Spring and 12? See, like, I think if we go to Elentier and the villains, like, we have alternate versions of older characters. Like, if we had, like, a Zero that was, like, a slightly different Zero, but, like, he's a bad guy here and he's one more powerful. Or Hades. Or if it was just, like, in general, like, lots of older villains, or... I don't know, just, like, characters that aren't as utilized as much, but we want to see again. Like, if there was a Hades, I think that would be cool. But I just don't want it to see, like, oh, it's another, like, there's a reverse Fairy Tail, and then, like, I don't want to see another Coco or another Sugar Boy or stuff. Because, like, we've already got a lot of them. I don't really know if I want to have just another set. Again, I'm not opposed to the idea as long as it's done well, but I would prefer just brand new characters. Oh, we get some action with the Shining Star and the Forester arc. I think they need to get out of there already. Like, they gotta hurry. We can need to see Natsu access to the Mind Place. Oh, the Mind Palace? You mean, Beta Heaven? Favorite Black Clover opening? 10. Definitely 10. Raxus, Fairy Tail, Rising King Canon? No, that's somebody's fanfiction. Some people really think Irene would take over Selene's body. Definitely not Selene's. If she gets a body, it's not gonna be Selene's. No way. Selene is too powerful. She would have to take over, like, Selene's body, like, right when she's about to die or something, and she has barely any control. Because Irene is strong, but Selene is out of her league. She could be, like, on level with, like, how intelligent she is. She could have, like, the same kind of, like, balance of, like, magic she knows, but obviously Selene is gonna outclass her in, like, all, like, displays of those abilities. Like, she's way more powerful. Is Eclipse Celestial Spirit Arc canon? I believe it's canon. That one's a little rough. That one's kind of like a little shaky spot because it's not really brought up in the manga, but, like, that arc is brought up in the anime. Hiro Mishima did all this stuff for it, and it was set to fit into the story by Hiro Mishima, and he said he was adding stuff into the Tartarus arc of the anime that he didn't get to put in the manga. So, and it was referenced in the anime, so I would assume all these things lining up together just, you know, say that he intended it for it to be canon. So I don't know why it wouldn't be. Natsu versus Kakuza? Which one is Kakuza? I saw Selene, I came immediately. Selene is great. I am really hyped to see her character. Like, she's definitely a very interesting villain. Her starting out the arc, I think, is one of the cooler things about it, too. For Eden Zero anime, what do you think Dragon Joe's theme song? I don't know about that at all, because one thing with the Eden Zero anime that I really am hyped for, like, not even just seeing the visual of, like, the scenes, I want to know what the music's like. I really want to know what the music's like so we can kind of get a feel of what that, like, when you think about that series, what kind of scenes would you remember, like, with, you know, said music. Like, obviously, like, Fairy Tail has lots of very, very hype music. The guy who's doing the Eden Zero soundtrack, I think it's the guy who did stuff like Death Note. So, you know, you've got a good guy behind it. It's just gonna be like, where do they take the soundtrack for it? I'm hoping that they can keep, like, a space vibe to it, like add some, like, really kind of cool music in the back. Natsu eats through space and time, man, stuff. I mean, it's like fire. I don't know, space and time. That's Acnologia. It's crazy how you think how strong adult Natsu would be. Yeah, he's definitely on the rise. He's definitely on the rise. Like, Natsu's only been really active for, like, 10 years, and look how powerful he's become. You know, you give him another 20, 30 years, he's going to be, you know, an absolute, like, monster. Because his age, I don't think his age is going to have nearly as much of a detrimental effect as most wizards, because obviously he's not a normal wizard. So, we'll see on that. Vierna's arc should be Godchill arc. I'd be cool with Godchill showing up. I mean, obviously, like, I'm always game to see more Godchill. Irene wanted to be a human, though, due to her suffering. Wouldn't it make sense for her to go into another dragon's body? So it would really, like, depend on, like, how she sees it. Like, if Selene had, like, a transformation level that was, like, literally, like, she basically has a human body,
and it was just such a higher level of transformation and whatever, like, Selene's difference. I can see that, but, like, I don't really know why she would want to take over a human body. And if she's more sane, I think that she could probably deal with, like, the exchange if it's, like, her only option. Because one thing about Irene that was obvious is she was very mentally unstable. Also, just really quick, since, you know, it's been, like, what, like, a little over an hour in the stream, I'd really appreciate anybody if you could thumbs up the video, hit the like button, and, like I've said before, any super chats or donations are appreciated. They are not required. I would, obviously, like I said, very much appreciate them. Anyway, Natsu's able to burn through time. Yeah, he's able to burn it, though, but I mean, like, he's not going to eat it. Or does it find out about Irene living inside Wendy this arc? I would assume so. Like, it'd be kind of strange if she didn't bring it up. Unless Irene didn't want her to. Like, if Irene said something specifically about not wanting Urza to know, then I don't know why she would, you know, why she would need to know at that point. It's more of, like, a thing that when it comes to the knowledge, like, Wendy would have to have a reason to not tell her. Because I feel like Wendy wouldn't keep the secret from Urza unless she was supposed to. Because it's not like it's a plot point that's really important, because even though Irene is Urza's mother, I think Irene having more of, like, the teacher, you know, Enchantress teacher to Wendy is more interesting, and I think it's more unpredicted than, like, if she has some, like, reunite and training arc with Urza. There's still possibilities for stuff like that, but I think her training Wendy more in being an Enchantress is more interesting. Because we don't have a lot of people like that in the series, and that Wendy is going to be training under a Master Enchantress. I think it's going to be really badass just to see, you know, what she can pull out of this. Let me scroll up. Some of those are starting to get pushed past the chat scroll bar. Natsu would be like Gildart's traveling every time that she gets a job in next gen. Yeah, probably. I mean, that's the likely kind of, like, position Natsu would be like as a, you know, fully grown adult, and, like, when he gets super powerful in the guild. Well, super powerful, like, by the end of the series, like, when he reaches his peak in the guild. I hope Viernes is not good, but evil. Like, you wouldn't mess around unless you want to mess with him. I think Viernes is going to be, like, very secluded. I don't know if he's going to be, like, malefic, because each of the Dragon Gods are very different from each other. I think he's going to be, like, have been hiding, like, paranoid of Acnologia this whole time. Or I see him being, like, maybe, like, very happy, kind of, like, maybe, like, a fun character, because, you know, the whole gold thing would probably put him in more of, like, a cheerful mood. If he is, like, aggressive, if he's, like, really vicious, and kind of, like you said, like, more evil and aggressive, that would be very interesting to see, like, where Mishima takes it, because the fact that his was, oh, he's extra secretive and extra unknown for the Dragon Gods, because Mersovi didn't even really know about him. None of the other Dragon Gods have seemed to really talk about him, and I think that that's just, as of right now, you know, one of the mysteries of him that I can't wait to see, but I don't know if it's just going to be as simple as him being evil. I feel like it's going to have something to do with, like, his fear of Acnologia. Because we haven't really seen that yet from the Dragon Gods. None of them seem to have, like, we haven't seen any of, like, the trauma that Acnologia caused them. And I'm really hoping we get some of. Natsu's, who's my favorite character? Oh, Natsu's my favorite. Natsu, I read that one. Ignia, Selene. He's got to be, like, way younger than her, though. I mean, I guess they're dragons. They probably wouldn't really care. Besides them not being of any use to them, do you think Ziggy also wanted to kill the Shining Stars because they were threats to him? No, I think he's, like, I think the way that he is, and I think that the way that it's set up, is that that's kind of like a, you know, machine, when machines become obsolete, you just throw them away kind of thing. And I'm guessing that's the way that he was looking at the old Shining Stars. It's just, oh yeah, they're obsolete, they're out of date, don't need them anymore, you know, get rid of them, kind of thing. Yeah, I don't really know why anyone would ship Ignia. Maybe Ignia's got his own girlfriend, I don't know. Is it possible to see their character like God Serena, but instead of having different Dragon Slayer magic, he was God Slayer? I mean, we don't really... I mean, we could have something like that, but I don't really know, like, what would make it really useful or important. The thing right now is if we had, like, a character like that, considering the level of people that were around, they would have to be absurdly powerful. Like, if we had one of the Diablos members, like one of the Godslayer, or one of the Dragon Eaters, also be a Godslayer, I think maybe something like that. We get like a Slayer hybrid kind of thing going on. Because it has to be enough that they're relevant. Otherwise, they're just going to get one shot. And Godslayers already have a very bad spot for Kiramashima's heart. Like, he's mean to all the Godslayers. So it might be somebody that it's like, I need somebody for, like, Gray to get a new power-up and demolish. Oh, I'll just make a Godslayer character. Okay. I'd be like, oh no. How do you feel about the characters in Mission Yakuza 8? Oh, I mean, they're fine so far. I'm not, like I said, I'm not very far, so I can't really give, like, a big determining decision on them. But I think they're fine. I think the designs are all interesting. I'm, like, obviously not past, like, any big series-defining parts. So, whenever the first, like, big arc is and stuff. I haven't gotten to, like, any of that. Let's see. Orc reminds me of Barrett from Final Fantasy VII with the gun arm. I think he's just got like a badass power. Like it's nothing crazy, it's just neat. Is Alderaan roughly the size of Alaska? I don't think he's that big. Let me see. How big is Alaska? Alaska size. West to east. Let's just do that. I think it's bigger. Yeah. It's way bigger. Like. It says, like, long-wise, it's 1,400 miles. Alderaan standing up, like, the way he leans is like, 50 miles, and then he's, like, 130 miles from head to tail. He's huge, but it's not like he's not the size of Alaska. That's massive. Do you think 5th generation Dragon Slayers are going to join Fairy Tail? I think Nibiru. I think he needs to. His old guild abandoned him. He's definitely very unstable. I think that they can help him become, like, a better, nicer guy. Oh, one question just slipped past that. I missed. Oh, that's not at me. Even better. People speculating when he still has the Irene form. I don't think so. I think she just has the ability to get knowledge from Irene. Because she was saving that for a trump card. I don't really know why she would need to have that. I don't think she could outform because Irene used all that power. No way to eat dragons. 3 of Fairy Tail were raised by dragons. So? So what? Like, why would... Like, who cares? It's not going to really matter. Like, it's not like they're out hunting every dragon humanly possible. They're hunting the dragon gods. The dragon gods, as far as they know, are bad, dangerous creatures out in the world. We haven't seen any parts where they went after, like, some innocent, helpless dragon. As far as we know, they've only went after bad dragons. It's still, like, a toss-up whether Diablos is an evil guild or just an antagonist guild. Because they haven't done anything really, like, what I would consider evil. Because they've gone after the dragon gods. The dragon gods are all very dangerous to people, like, as a total, and people who they would consider getting in their way. So even though they are antagonists, I don't really know if they're evil. I think they're eventually going to become allies. Why would you accept a Dragon Eater? Why wouldn't you? If they need somewhere to go, they're going to help them. Like, Nazis killed a dragon before. What's the difference if they kill and eat like a dangerous dragon versus just killing them? Do you have any theories on why Captain Connor believes Shiggy's ideals of enslaving humans? Absolutely no idea. We barely know anything about Captain Connor. We barely don't, like, his character is very just strange. It was such a weird plot twist. There's not really anything to know about him. He's just a weird dude. Irene would have dominated Urza if Wendy. I mean, yeah. And Wendy. What do you mean what power of friendship happened in the Irene fight? What are you talking about? Think any of the theories on why I read that one. Do you think P. Nero Poseidon is going to have another Draken Joe? I think he's just going to be like a really powerful big opponent. I don't think he's going to have the same level of, I don't think he's going to have the same type of goals. Where are you currently in Orient? That's like chapter 40. I haven't read it in a while. In terms of threat, in threat, he's going to have a larger scale threat. In World 29, do you think that Connor would have done since he lost his ship, waited Siggy and the Dark Stars? I don't know, he probably would have just went and tried to get a new ship. Maybe, like, go back to wherever the Eden's one was made. Irene and Wendy would have completely... Wait. Irene would have could completely control Wendy in order to fight Selene. Even if she did, they'd lose. Selene is way more powerful. It does not matter. Like, they wouldn't stand a chance against Selene. Where was I? Unique Narrow is an alien. I hope so. I want to see some alien species. Who's stronger, Dragon Gods or Acnologia? I mean, I think they're all around each other in terms of just general power level, but Acnologia just has an all-around better attribute. Wonder how Noelle's going to beat Megicula, Ultimate Magic. Actually, one thing I'm wondering when it comes to, like, I wonder if Selene could have dropped Acnologia inside of Daedalus, but I feel like Acnologia could have just figured his way out or killed her in the process of her trying. He would probably eat her spell, but, like, mid-use, and then just, dominate her. I wonder how Noelle's going to beat Megicula, Ultimate Magic. I don't know. We don't know what exactly their Ultimate Magic is yet. Alderaan may not be as big as Alaska, but he's still big enough to have several cities built on top. Yeah, he's huge. Noelle versus Lucy. Lucy's obviously going to win. Can Wendy use the body swap technique Irene used? Probably not. I mean, as far as we know, like, you can only enchant yourself into another person if you have, like, very specific similarities. Like, you can't just fully enchant yourself into anybody you want. There seems to have to be things you have to sync up, because that's why Irene didn't just put herself inside of Urza's body. She had to take Wendy's body, a Dragon Slayer and an Enchantress. Acnologia is still the strongest character due to reviews of time. I mean, he was strongest even before that because he can eat any magic, and there's magic literally everywhere in the world. So he has a general power advantage over the world in general, like the world in total, of getting his magic back, rendering their attacks useless, making himself stronger in the process. Any theory on Jin and Clean's backstory? It has to have, like, some super, like, war zone genocide thing going on, or some, like, really dark kind of criminal underworld. If there was at a point where they saw all these murders and stuff. First Iron to lose to Selene. I don't think it'd even be that cool if I didn't be. Irene probably getting really desperate. Like, there's too big of a power level gap. With Fairy Heart and Neo Eclipse, do you think Seraph was closer to Dragon God level? I mean, he was broken. I think that he would beat any of them except for Acnologia, because we know he said himself he couldn't beat Acnologia. But I think he could have taken any of the Dragon Gods. But that's obviously not normal Seraph. That's a super Seraph. Whose magic eating attribute is stronger, Acnologia's or Charms? Acnologia. What do you mean? That's not a question. You think Zynera will control those space oceans where you find his sea? That'd be really cool. If he had, like, just, was able just to connect into, like, the water around his cosmos. Like, if he had some machine. Because if you couldn't just have him, like, freely, like, oh, he's got range across the entire cosmos. If you had, like, oh, he had some ritual in order to, like, send his conscious to somewhere in the, in the cosmos, and he takes over the water over there. Like, if he had a thought projection, and then he could control the water of, like, where his thought projection, and something like that would be really neat. Where he just had like a system to always be like, oh, there's danger in this sector. Okay, I'll go over there. And then he gets in, like, some, like, machine or meditative state, and then, he just kind of, like, appears there, like a ghost of him. That'd be really cool. Let me see. How do you see Selene losing? I mean, there's gonna have to be, like, a bunch of characters doing, like, some intense counterattacks, like, combo moves against her. It's very hard right now because we don't really know how, like, who's gonna fight her. We don't know what the characters are capable of inside of Elentier. We don't know if there's, like, other characters forming up resistance against her. Let's see. Would you ship Laxus and Kyria? Kyria is the one I would ship most with Laxus. I think theirs is the most interesting ship for Laxus currently. Black Clover and now Asta, brother, you can get revenge. Let's go get Yami. I can't wait to see them go and storm the Spade Kingdom. I have one thing. I think Jin was tortured. Yeah, I think there had to be something in there that was just super dark scarring. It has to be really just gruesome. Like, I just can see, like, imagine, like, they were in some country where there was, like, some revolt, some, like, big coup, and they just, as children lived in some, like, warring state. And everywhere they go, it was just a civil war. Something, like, crazy like that, where it's just, like, really complicated for them to even kind of understand as kids, but also terrified of just going anywhere at all. Let's see. I want to see some form of god or demon in Ellen tier. Like their king, I think is going to be really cool. There has to be some form of king. How do you see Ellen tier? I don't care that one. Since half the dead Ignia took on Acnologia, how do you think compares to the dragon gods? I think that he could give them a struggle. Not a struggle. I think that he could give them somewhat of a fight. I don't think that he could get them like go all out though. He's too powerful. Ultimate Magic doesn't seem to be drawing the full. I think Ultimate Magic is going to be like a combo spell. Like, if there's 5 people, they focus their magic on one character uses an ultimate spell. And then you can have someone later, like, who's just really powerful and can use ultimate level magic at will, like what we saw with, like... Yeah. The part where Urza busting Arian's meteor with broken bones. Yes, it does. It does make sense, Guillotine. I don't know how many times I've explained certain things to you. So a meteor is literally just mass and speed. It's just a large rock moving at high speed. Urza's Clear Heart armor and Yodo Benny Sakura literally just increase attack power and speed. All she had to do was put more power into her attack and speed increase, which literally it's been consistent throughout the entire series of that's what those two things do to overpower the meteor. And the meteor wasn't even that big of a deal in reality. It was like a pretty powerful spell for Urza to deal with, but it wasn't much for Irene. It didn't show like any real power tax on Irene. She didn't look like any form of exhaustion signs of summoning this deep space meteor. She even said, even if you're capable of destroying that meteor, you can't cut her dragon skills. She was able to because of Wendy putting Dragon Slayer magic onto her sword. Like it's not like she was thrown some super broken power and then just pulled her sword out and cut it. It's literally what her sword and armor do. Increase attack power and speed. So that's all she had to really do. She used her one functional arm to propel herself up into the meteor and then go destroy and then ride the force of the explosion back down to attack Irene. It's super simple. You just have to pay attention and know. Looks like Nogia being able to eat magic is broken. Oh, and I gotta read that. It scrolled right past it. Always curious to know if you had a single ultimate. He's just all over the place. Do you think Irene, in her dragon form state, is slightly weaker than August than she is? No, she is weak. She has to be weaker than August. August is outright put as the leader and strongest of the Spriggan by Zeref, and Zeref would know the gaps between them. Prison Cure eventually have a full fight. She's gonna have to go Dragon Force though. I think the bot is tricking us with Lucida. I don't think so. I think it's pretty normal. I don't think he's trying to do some like crazy trick. That dream that Rebecca had, do you think is gonna happen? I think that's gonna be this arc. I think that's gonna be this arc with like the big robot machines like marching everywhere. Do you think Ignia would have been able to defeat one-armed Acnologia? No, I don't think so. Or the dream Rebecca would have... Oh, I already read that one. Alderaan versus Naruto. I mean, Naruto has the ability to take down Alderaan. It's the hack... Well, I don't know about, like, the... I'm trying to think of, like... In the terms of if he can destroy each of the God Seeds and then get to Alderaan, yeah, for sure. But he has to get through each of their hacks and defeat Alderaan while he's doing it, I think is where it'd be really dangerous. But Naruto has the Shadow Clone, so I think it's possible for him. But to get to him in the first place is dangerous. And then if he gets covered in the spores, then GG. If he gets hit by gears, GG. If Metro, or if Wolfen turns into a bunch of versions of his dad, then what is he going to do? It really comes down to, like, if he can get hit, if he gets the hacks landed onto him, then he's done. But otherwise, Naruto wins, I would say. Because Naruto definitely does have, like, a way to deal with the weakness of Alderaan, because if you take out all the God Seeds, then, you know, somebody at that level to where, you know, Dragon Force Nacho can completely dominate him, Naruto can definitely, you know, handle that. You know how strong August was since he was the son of Zeref. Imagine how strong Natsu and Lucy's kid will be. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be super broken. Natsu's Dragon Omens based on the Seven Luminaries Japan on the weekends. Is it going to be something on the Elm tier, on the Earth Sun? I already said this. I think the Earth Day Dragon will be a secret boss at the end, and then I think Natsu will be the Sun Day, you know, of the Day of the Sun, of the Luminary Days. But Ignia versus Naruto. I mean, Ignia should straight counter him because his fire should burn magic. You have to equalize energy, so Chakra would be on the same kind of ground. So he's gonna burn every clone, every Rasengan, every single Bijou Dama that comes his way, he's just going to completely demolish him.
I think the Double Vanisher arc was well aligned with Libe's backstory.
Yeah, you could definitely tie in, that to the anime, later and make it a lot more interesting. You had a good point on that one.
But yeah, I'm gonna nobody would say that Urza busted your meteor with broken bones.
Yes, it would, because her physical body isn't nearly as important, because it's not something like One Piece where Zoro is a swordsman, all his techniques and stuff are based off of his physical strength combined with his sword techniques. Urza's a wizard. As long as she has her magic, she can cast certain spells. As long as she has magic and a way to utilize it, then she's going to be able to keep going. It's not like she's... For one, you can use a broken limb. It's not impossible, it's just difficult. But two, if she's got a functional arm, she propels herself up into it and then uses an armor and sword that we know what they do to work against literally how kinetic energy works, then there's no complaint to it. It literally would come down to if she has enough magic to channel into her attack in order to do that. It's silly to kind of think that, oh, she can't overpower a meteor, but she can do all these other crazy things. If characters... Like, Gray, in that same arc, Gray adapts in speed, in real time, to ice that voids durability. Natsu burns time, and people complain about Urza destroying a meteor. Like, all these other crazy feats happen, and people don't even say anything. It's just because, oh yeah, it's a crazy fictional feat. How is Urza's destroying a meteor so unbelievable when Natsu can do stuff like burn fucking time, or Margir has a curse that can destroy concepts of reality? Like, when you have absurd broken people, how is something that is a meteor, which is literally just big rock going very fast, such a mind boggler? It's so silly.
Current Natsu versus Alive Renegade Naruto.
Naruto is Alive Renegade Madara. Natsu's gonna dominate him. He's gonna burn everything that he sends his way.
I was hoping that Alderaan would have more of a human-looking form.
Oh, his humanoid form with his god seed made sense of why he would have more of this kind of tree spirit humanoid design, because he doesn't like humans, but the design itself was clearly set for interacting with humans at their size and whatnot, but not being a human made sense considering how he feels about them. How a giant god Jill Farragut's acting nothing. He wouldn't do anything. He just has enhanced physical strength. He's gonna get his ass kicked. I don't know. Anyway.
So that's just called Fire Dragon King mode because I hardly see him use it.
Yeah, Fire Dragon. So he doesn't have the tattoo boost of Ignia's remaining power, but he still has the form. It's not just because he doesn't use it all the time doesn't mean he doesn't have it. We didn't see Natsu use Lightning Flame Dragon mode all the way from Tartarus until the first couple chunks of this arc. We hadn't seen him use it in years, but he still had it.
Memento Mori or Hakai?
I don't know exactly the full description of Hakai. Is it just a full erase? Because the thing about Memento Mori is that Memento Mori isn't just a straight erase spell. It's it fucks with concepts. It destroys the concepts of life and death and just erases somebody's existence. Conceptual destruction is a super OP thing. It's not the exact thing as oh yeah, I'm hitting someone with an erasure spell. It's I am destroying baseline aspects of reality in order to erase somebody. It's broken. Natsu is continental. I forgot. This fairy tale. I even have Alakatasia, Guiltina already, Ishgal. There's the unnamed continent where Gray's from. There are continents, of course there are.
I'll just imagine Dazu's reaction to Libe never having any magic.
Dazu? Can't think of Dazu. Oh, is that one of the anime, the Devil Vanisher people? I haven't watched the whole thing of that arc. I heard it wasn't very good. I might watch it later, like you said, because if it has connections to, it might make Libe's backstory better in the way that, they discriminated against the devils.
If Asta was in Fairy Tail, will he be able to learn magic? He actually would be able to learn magic, because there are ways for anybody to gain the ability to use magic in their world. And if they could cause it so where he could kind of like bring out magic the same way that like a normal person, they absorb magic from the atmosphere, all the ether nano, then he definitely would be able to. And then he'd just have to find out when to learn. Because obviously their magic is completely different. You can learn any magic within their world. It's not the same as Black Clover where they're born with it. It would depend entirely if, like, Asta is incapable of ever learning magic, or if it was, like, a defect where his body wasn't able to get it. Because if it's just, like, he physically cannot use magic ever, like, there's something about him, like a curse, then obviously that would be something that would come into play. But for the most part, he would probably be able to learn how to do it. Hakai does that too. I mean, I don't know the exact description of Hakai off the top of my head. If it's just like existence erasure, or if there's like some extra crazy way that it works. I think Natsu will eventually get a transformation for Fire Dragon King mode. I don't think it'll be Fire Dragon King mode, because for the most part, like his forms are like how his elements and kind of like form around him. It's not like Luffy's gears where he literally has a different shape when he has them. Like, for the most part, Natsu's, it's more just the way that his, like, the general increase, and then, like, what is it that this form gives him, rather than, like, a full-on, like, transformation. That's what his Dragon Force and Cythereus are more towards, because it's slowly turning him into something else, and not just the same as, oh yeah, he just gets, like, lightning on his fire, or he has, like, a super flame, kind of like with Fire Dragon King mode. There are more worlds other than Edelus and Elantir. I mean, as far as we know, those are the only two realms. Unless you want to count, like, the Celestial Spirit world and maybe, like, the space between time. We don't need too many, though. Smartest person and the easy crew. For me, it's definitely Hermit. Wise, the way that they said it with Wise is, like, Wise is smart, but he's not, like, super book smart. He's, like, kind of, like, tinkering smart. He's able just to kind of, like, invent things and, like, take things apart, figure out how things work, and kind of, like, construct ideas with that. Hermit's definitely the smartest. Devil Banished arc was too good. I don't know, people told me that it was bad, but I haven't watched the whole thing, so I will wait to give my opinion on that. Do you think something will happen in the end of Tenryl arc? Something will happen, like, in the end of Tenryl Island arc, where the island gets destroyed in Fairy Tail 100 Years quest? I mean, there would have to be kind of, like, maybe, like, an Ignia arc, so it would have to be set up in a way that they could have some, like, absolute loss. I don't think they can with this arc, just because, like, if it happens, like, where are they going to go with their realm? Are they going to all just kind of, like, the entirety of Elantir going to go into Earthland? And maybe, like, Selene destroys the whole dimension or something? I don't know. It would be cool, though, and it would be badass to see, like, what exactly... For one, how she does it, but what the aftermath is. Like, if you had all these people go in their world. Because one thing that, I really wish was mentioned after the Edelus arc is because all the remaining magic in Edelus went over to Earthland, is I really wish there was a portion of somebody, like, noting, oh, that's why there was such a giant spike in total magic, so, people just naturally became more powerful. Or something like that, or if we saw, like, the Exceed coming over, like, had some effect on things. I don't know, I just want to see if something like that happens, how it alters the world. And not just, like, the world has more magic. I would like to see, like, islands are starting to float all over Earthland and stuff, kind of like in how it was in Edelus or something. Or, more powerful magic monsters are starting to form or something. How would Asta's anti-magic fairy and fairy tale? I mean, it'd be kind of the same thing. However, it would have, like, a level of potency, like we've seen. Higher level magics require more anti-magics. But for the most part, I would assume it would do the exact same thing. It would cancel out magic. It wouldn't work on curses the same. Asta would just go about relatively how he does in his own universe. It really just depends on, like, how much magic he's going up against. Dragon Slayer Gray versus Lightning Laxus. I'm going to go Laxus. I mean, Laxus is definitely going to take that right now. For sure. How would Merciful fare against Ichigo? I don't really know. That's like a weird matchup. That is a really weird one. I never really thought about it. How do you listen to Divide Music song for Natsu? Wait, do you listen to Divide Music? I don't know what that is. Tartarus Gray versus Dante. I'd probably go with I'm trying to think now, because I was gonna say Dante, but obviously, like, it's a different story when a Devil Slayer is fighting a devil. So he would have, like, the extra potency. He would have counters to his abilities. He'd be able to freeze relatively into his magic. I think, to me, like, the thing that would really determine whether he could fight him is if he could, like, walk in the gravity. I think he could, and Gray's AoE, like, how, like... Actually, I'm gonna go Gray, because the one thing I will say, that it is Dante's crutch, because it's something that usually happens whenever you have characters with high regeneration. They're way more reckless, and Dante is extremely reckless. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if you had them fight each other, and Gray goes and does, like, uses his destruction bow, and Dante just tries to take it, because he's like, oh, it's who cares, an ice spell, and then gets hit with it, and then GG. And if it was able to, take down Marred Gear, be that big finishing move in a Marred Gear, then it would definitely work on Dante. Do you think Asta's next transformation look like? I'm hoping we get something, like I said, more of like an outfit kind of thing, kind of like what Nacht has. I always felt like anti-magic would be like a curse, especially since Sleeba's a demon. It seems like it is a curse, because it seems like it was born out of negative emotions and how he felt towards, the other devils. It's like, I think it's a curse. I think anti-magic is a curse. It would make sense, and I think it would really work into the structure of the series, as well as give us more information about curses. Because Black Clover, we don't know that much about the world's curses. We know obviously about magic, we know about true magic, we know about devil magic now, we're finding about ultimate magic, but we don't know anything really about curses. We only have a little bit of information about it. We don't have like any like overall curse set characters other than Megicula. Megicula has her curse warding magic, but like that's one character, and we haven't gone into like the branch of abilities that are curses in general. In that world, at least. Do you think Shiki's Overdrive will improve and look different? Yes. Asta versus Madara? Obviously, Madara's going to win. Since the Exceeds are from Elm Tier, do you think that they're actually angels? I think they're going to be, like, kind of depicted as spirits or, like, messengers. Berserk River, I've been saying that, man. What is it, Asia Morningstar? I don't want to do any more fights. Do you think Demon will eventually get a name? I don't know. I just like that they're, the main Fairy Tail team. I don't think they really need a name. There's only a couple group names in the Fairy Tail Guild. I don't think they really need one, though. I wouldn't mind one. Because people just go with Team Natsu. I kind of just think it's... I don't know, I never really thought about giving them a name, and I'm wondering, like, what they would go by. It would probably be something Natsu kind of can name. Because even though Urza is more of the leader in the group, she's the authoritative figure, Natsu is their champion. So I'm wondering if Natsu would be the one to name it. Current versus Agil. Agil's going to destroy him. I love fights. I mean, me too, but, sometimes I get too much, and it's just, like, talking about fictional fights instead of, like, as many questions. But, it's been almost 2 hours. I think I'm going to end the stream. Probably going to do some chores, clean up my living room and stuff. Wendy versus Yuno gets his ass kicked so hard. Wendy would beat the hell out of him. Let me see this real quick. I feel like Asta versus Gray would be a cool fight. Well, Gray is too smart for him. Gray is so much more technique-based, and, like, Asta is dangerous, but Gray... Well, for one, Gray's Devil Sling also has the curse aspect to it, so similar to how, like, Dragon Slayer magic has both the dragon attribute and being magic, Demon Slayer has both curse and magic to it, so Asta would have a lot more trouble with it than I think most people would really give him credit for, or most people would really think about and not give enough credit for Gray. So... I mean, in general, Gray's also faster. He's got way more combat experience. I mean, he could literally do, like... he could just make Silver flash freeze, like, the whole area, and then just go for, like, a headshot right on Asta. Asta versus Meliodas. I'd still probably go Meliodas for now. I think we should get Asta versus anime exclusive. I'd be okay with it. Bosses Berserker versus GG. I think so. That'd be really badass. I feel like I already read that one. Gaja versus Byakuya. He'd need all his swords. Every one of those swords. Even though Yuno's faster. When Yuno is not faster... I'll stay for an extra couple of minutes to address this. Yuno is not faster than Wendy. Not even close. Wendy was able to keep up with Irene. Wendy was able to keep up with Acnologia. When Shone been able to keep up with other Dragon Slayers.
Like, she's shown to keep up with people like Sting and Rogue. She's shown to keep up with Gajeel. Wendy is not weak. People seem to always think that just because she's a very small girl, but she's also very powerful. She's still a very high-level Dragon Slayer. Not to mention that she has the separation enchantment. You put her against sorry, no spirit drive. Oh, you put any wind spell? Eat him. Sorry, GG. Oh, literally any form of physical compensation, buffs herself all the way up. Tries to buff himself, dose zero. Okay, cool, you don't get buffs anymore. Especially, wait, what is this? Wendy. Is not nearly as fast as Wendy. Wendy's gonna beat the living hell out of him. Black Bulls versus Fairy Tail, who better guild? I would join. Well, I think the Fairy Tail guild is obviously much better, and I think that I would definitely join the group. One thing that I think it really says a lot about the Fairy Tail guild. When you go back to Sirius Island, you have Mest. It was very weird for members of Fairy Tail not to know anything about Mest. That was super strange to them, because even smaller characters, they know each other pretty well. Like, they're not going to know every aspect about them, but to have somebody in your guild you just know nothing about for a member of Fairy Tail is weird. And Gajeel and Wendy and Julia were all relatively new, so they didn't have nearly as much of, like, the Fairy Tail vibe to them, or kind of like that deeper ingrown aspect of being like a long-time member. So, again, for these guys, not knowing somebody in the guild was weird. And it just shows, like, that was, like, a big red flag because of how close they are. And it was strange for them not to have somebody like that. Or to have somebody like that in their guild and them not know them. Have you seen Anime Wins Black Clover videos? I have not. Wendy is really underrated. She's awesome. Yeah, Wendy would dominate, That's not even remotely close. Wendy would beat the hell out of her. How would Nacht react to Fairy Tail Guild? He likes genuinely good people. He might like some of them. I don't know. He probably wouldn't like Natsu, though, because Natsu gets into trouble all the time. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream. I'll call it good for now. It's been about 2 hours, and I'm going to try and get out of here. Like I said, I'm going to go try and do some chores. I've been meaning to clean, but I got distracted playing some games and watching some videos. But I really wanted to do a stream today. I wanted to see everybody and see how they're doing, and talk about some of the events coming up. Wait, do I think Blackbeard is going to be the final villain in One Piece? I would hope so. But anyway, other than that, don't comment below. I hope you guys have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow when we have the chapter reviews and stuff.